And now it gives me great honor to call upon our guest of honor, His Excellency, Mr. Andrej Plenković, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Croatia. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Good day. First of all, a big thank you to Prime Minister Madbuli for the invitation to Cairo for my official visit, and please, once again, thank you for the great hospitality you have offered to the whole delegation, to the Minister of Culture, to Mufti, Mr. Hasanovic, to our business delegation, and I have to admit that we feel really honored to be here with you and to use this opportunity to commit to more cooperation, especially aimed at the increasing trade between the two countries. And therefore, I thank also Mr. Ahmed El Wakil, who is the president of the Federation of the Egyptian Chambers of Commerce, for organizing this business forum, and to Mr. Luka Burilovic for having organized the Croatian partners who have joined us here. And I'm sure that you have had over the morning useful opportunities to dialogue and to forge new partnership that will bring the relationship between the two countries at a higher level. I would like to also thank the late Egyptian ambassador to Croatia, who unfortunately passed away 10 days ago, for his work for his country, but also for his strong commitment to improving the relations between Croatia and Egypt. And he was, as Mr. Burilovic said, very instrumental in organizing this business forum, and we are very sorry that he has unfortunately left us. So please accept our condolences, Prime Minister, as well as once again to his family and friends and colleagues. This is a chance for me to say a few words to our Egyptian partners, especially from the private sector, how our relations are structured today, where Croatia stands today in terms of its development, what are our ambitions, and what are the opportunities for cooperation. First of all, the Prime Minister Madbuli mentioned that a few years ago we had almost double exchange than today. We looked a little bit at the details. I think it was due to one of the big LNG shipments that came from Egypt, which is, of course, a novel opportunity for you in cooperating with Croatia. It was, I would say, the most far-sighted decision of my first government. We are now in the period of our third government when we decided to finally build the LNG. It is a floating regasification unit. We bought it on time, before Russia's aggression against Ukraine, before the energy crisis, before the rise of the gas crisis, thus ensuring the security of supply for Croatia, but also paving the way that the Croatia's LNG terminal on the island of Krk, together with the oil terminal which exists there from before, becomes an opportunity for all the countries of Central and Eastern Europe to be provided by the LNG. And it was opened 4 years ago. It functions very well, and I'm sure there will be more shipments which will then substantively improve the volume of our trade. Croatia is today independent for almost 35 years. We have attained all of our international strategic objectives. We are now part of the European Union, of the inner core. That means the Eurozone, that means the Schengen area, the European Stability Mechanism. Over the 9 years, we have been conducting a policy of catching up with those in the European Union who were more developed. We are the latest member, now already almost 12 years ago, and the objective of my government was to use these opportunities, especially in terms of redistribution of the European funds in our cohesion policy and our development policy, and trying to become one of those countries who will be as close as possible to the average level of social and economic development of the European Union. So we were at the 62% 9 years ago. Today we are at the 78%. Our GDP has in absolute terms grown almost double from 2016 till today. It will be double actually next year. We have increased our wages, we have increased our pensions, the entire package of support in the years of crisis, which in Croatia had threefold crisis. Everybody had pandemic, everybody had the consequences of Russian aggression against Ukraine, but we also had two devastating earthquakes who hit us in 2020. So we were in a position to, I would say, lay down a very large safety net for our businesses and citizens, heavily subsidizing the energy costs, the oil derivatives, but also trying to assist the vulnerable groups in our society, and we managed to keep the social cohesion of the entire country over the last 5 years, which was an essential task for us as the government. And I think combined with, at the same time, reaching the strategic objectives such as the Schengen, Eurozone and the stability mechanism, plus being literally in front of the OECD. We are now conducting the negotiations to become a member of this Paris-based organization. The last one that exists today globally that Croatia can become a member of, and the process is going very well, so I think it will be completed. So in 3.5 decades, we shall round our strategic positioning, both European-wise, globally, but also in the Mediterranean. The most important part of our reforms is our national development strategy, which is lasting until 2030. We have been very efficient in fulfilling those objectives. We are going to revise it now because some of the activities have been already done. Our 4 major pists of activities are aimed at something where we have a problem. You don't have it. That is the demographic revitalization of the country. Second one is the green transition, third one is the digital transformation, and the fourth one is education. In that context, we see the possibility for a relatively, in terms of numbers, especially compared to you, a small nation of almost 4 million people, to maintain strong and visible and find its niche at the European and global level, and that is the excellence, that is the innovation, that is the accompanying of the key global trends which can give opportunities for our companies and our citizens. Also, we have been pretty successful in the fulfillment of the major macroeconomic criteria, which are part of our Eurozone process. Croatia today has a ratio of GDP, of public debt in GDP 57.4, budget deficit was 2.1, inflation was just below 3%, so all the 3 main criteria have been fulfilled, and that has been rewarded. So the sober public finances policies of the country and the, I would say, very well-calibrated investment was seen and evaluated by the 3 investment agencies, credit rating agencies, so both by, all by S&P, Moody's and Fitch. Croatia has over the past couple of years elevated its status for 5 notches, and we are now at the A- level of the credit rating, or A3, which means that the credibility of our public finances, which was enriched by the issuance of the 2 state bonds for the first time ever to our citizens, 7 times treasury bills to our citizens. We have increased the confidence of our own citizens and not only institutional investors to the direction that the government has been conducted over the past couple of years. That, of course, paves the way for the private sector to do its part, and I really commend the group of the businessmen from Croatia who have come here and who have the chance to seek for partnership with you in 2 terms. One is to strengthen and revitalize existing partnerships. Some of the companies have been present at your market for decades, and you know them well, and they know you well, and I'm sure there will be fruits from this business forum today. And the second group is those who are less familiar and less acquainted with Egypt, but are keen to improve and establish business relationships. I'm sure that will happen as one of the main elements of our talks today. I have said now, just at the press conference, that there is one specific new element which is important for also Egyptian private sector to take note of, and that is the new composition of the European Commission that has been inaugurated by old new President Ursula von der Leyen. now has a commissioner with a specific portfolio for Mediterranean, and this commissioner happens to be a Croatian politician, a lady that was a mayor of Dubrovnik, that was already in the previous commission of Ursula von der Leyen and was with me 10 years ago in the European Parliament when we joined the European Union, Madame Dubravka Šuica, who I just saw over the weekend in Munich. She's preparing her first visit to Egypt, and I'm sure you will meet her, and she can be really helpful in strengthening the strategic partnership that exists between Egypt and the European Union, especially the steps needed forward in order to implement the agreement of total 5 billion euros of the macro financial assistance that the European Union is ready to extend to Egypt in order to support your reforms and your development activities. I believe that the fact that the agreement on the avoidance of double taxation, which entered into force just 2 months ago, will be an incentive for you to improve and increase the relationship. We will also take good benefit of the today signed memorandum on the improvement of the general investment activities. Croatia has been doing a lot to simplify our legislation, to create a conducive climate for the foreign investors, to have reliable justice and predictable tax and legal systems, so that everybody who comes to operate in our market can be sure that it has all the credentials needed. And we have, as you can imagine, with Eurozone, with Schengen, with the A investment rating, all of a sudden appeared on the radar of many investors who so far were not that much focused on Croatia as a market. We have a thriving ICT sector, I have to mention it, besides energy sector who is here, and the defense sector whose representatives are already here. And mentioning defense, I cannot but underline that both Egypt and Croatia are part of the Rafale family. We have acquired also French multi-combat airplanes. So over the past years, we have 12 of them. And that brings us to a very specific group, strengthening the European defense capabilities, but also being interoperable with our allies. The ICT sector itself has some of the companies who have become really global leaders, unicorns, such as Infobip, participating in the important projects of the common European interest. We just supported one of those companies lately. And I'm sure that this will be a good example that our talent, our knowledge, our young businessmen and women find their niches at the global market. I believe that the exchange that we have can be more diversified, as you suggested, Prime Minister. That's why I very much appreciate the role of your Federal Chamber of Commerce and also Croatian Chamber of Commerce, with the experience and gathering of all the key entrepreneurs in Croatia and in Egypt. And this visit should become referential for the improvement of our relations. And I would, of course, be honored if the next business forum takes place in Croatia, along with your presence, Prime Minister, and your delegation, so we can further the relationship and the friendly historical relations that exist between Egypt and Croatia. We were just at the preparations of this visit keen to find out that more than 3,000 Croats were participating in the construction of the Suez Canal. So these relations are long-standing, and I will have the chance tomorrow at the Alexandrina Library to accentuate a few more details from our common history that has really been Croatia's mark on its Mediterranean identity, and the friendship and the good relations that we have between Egypt as a great nation, great civilization, and Croatia sharing the same shores of Mare Nostrum. Thank you for this great opportunity.